These are the KV brand slides, but the industry has standardized the pattern, so it doesn't matter what brand you use. Even a cheap import brand uses the same exact configuration. The sides and the subfronts are planed to 19/32 of an inch, which is just under 5/8. And the reason why I do that is because the drawer slides are designed for material 1/2 inch to 5/8 maximum. But if you plane the wood to exactly 5/8 and then apply 2 coats of paint on both sides, then you're going to go over 5/8, and the tolerance in between here is pretty tight, and you might run the risk of brushing up against those screws. So 19/32 works good for painted drawers. The drawer front I plane to exactly 5/8, and the reason why I don't use a full 3/4 inch is to minimize some weight, but I don't want to make it too thin because I have to get a screw to sink in there and hold it into place permanently. So the sides and the subfronts are planed to 19/32. The backs of the drawer I leave a full 3/4 inch. So I don't run these through the planer. I cut the length at the same time I cut the subfront, and the width I cut as the very last step, which is done after I determine this width when the slot for the drawer bottom is cut. So the reason why I leave the back of the drawer a full 3/4 inch is to make the drawer a little bit stronger and to add a little bit extra weight in the back of the drawer, because I'm having 2 fronts on the drawer front, so the drawer is already kind of front heavy when you pull it out. So it doesn't affect the functionality of the drawer to make the back part of it a little bit thicker, so I just leave it a full 3/4 inch. It's not really a big deal, but you know, it's a little bit less machining if you're making a couple dozen drawers, and leaves a little bit of structure there, so I get a slightly larger glue joint. And to assemble the drawer bottoms, I still have to sand the edges of these so they fit in the groove a little bit easier. I use these upholstery staples. These are 3/8 inches long, 22 gauge upholstery staples that work for this gun right here. And these are actually cheaper than micro pins, and they work pretty well for anchoring in the 1/4-inch plywood. And to assemble the drawer boxes, I use glue and 1 1/4 narrow crown staples, and sometimes I'll clamp it as well after it's put together. But that's basically the information that you need here. This is my angle plate for assembling square drawer boxes. This is my story stick, which is my method for measuring the exact dimension that you need for the subfront and the back panel. And so the dimension of this stick is the opening that I determine after I put my table together. So the dimension in between where the drawer slides are going to be supported is the dimension that I determine on this stick. And then to measure the subfront, I measure 1 5/8 from the edge and make a test cut, and I try to get it as close as I can to exactly 1 5/8, which is 13/16 times 2. And that's what works for this system that uses the undermount slides. Number 6 by 1/2 inch truss head screw, and these are for installing the left and right front locking clips. This is a number 7 by 5/8 nickel plated screw, and these are the screws that you would use to install European concealed hinges, and it's just the right size for these holes. A number 8 screw will stick out too far. A number 6 usually will go all the way through. So it's helpful to have these screws. I forgot to mention this screw, which is a number 8 by 1 1/8, and that's a specialty size that I use just for putting on drawer fronts. And these are 5/8 inches thick. And another quick tip here, which is helpful, I like to keep these around, just some simple alcohol wipes. I like to keep my hands clean when I'm installing drawers, because the drawer slides are all covered with grease, and so that gets on your hands, and then you'll leave fingerprints all over your finish. And if you're doing a flat varnish, which is what you see here, the grease spots will show up and be noticeable. So it's good to keep your hands clean as you're working with the drawers. So I just cut a tapered hole using my Grizzly tapered drill bit that I just got. And I did that because this slot here on the corner got blocked off, because I put this cleat here to reinforce that leg connection. So I had to drill an extra hole there because that screw in the corner is important. So I just wanted to show that technique here.